Hey everybody, what's going on? Happy Thursday to you and yours. Bay Ragney here with the Nashville Restaurant Review. And I have my new good friend, Big Daddy himself, Sean Porter of Daddy's Dogs, with us tonight. Before we get to talking to Sean and learning his whole story about his hot dog empire, I got to tell you about another empire coming out of the Nashville 6-1 vibe scene. They're called Bombers and Sleeves, and they are a lifestyle apparel brand, and they are dedicated to bringing the war on self-doubt. This is for the bold, the fearless, and the authentic souls who never back down and wear it all on their sleeve. Bomb your boundaries at bombersandsleeves.com. That's right. Bomb your boundaries. Shop Bombers and Sleeves today, right now, tonight, tomorrow, and every day at bombersandsleeves.com. So here he is. Without further ado, I like to refer to him myself as truly the king of social media for Nashville restaurants, the one and only Mr. Big Daddy himself. What's going on there, Sean?
Hey, man. How are we? I'm good. Thank you very much for that intro. I appreciate it.
Hey, I figure, we got to make this official. So here's what I'm going to do.
Yes. Hang on one sec. I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Okay.
I had to come with you. I'm always prepared. Always prepared. Here we are.
Cheers. I got to ask, why Miller? I don't think I've drank Miller in probably 30 years.
So when we first started the shop, we wanted to keep it really simple. And I'm kind of just a big stoner from Seattle or whatever. And the High Life brand kind of goes along with Daddy's Dogs and everything we do. And when we were looking at beers, I was like, how fun would it be to have a 40? I came up with the 40 Club and the 40 on Ice. And the only beer, or one of the only beers, that does 40s, that's like regular beer, not like malt liquor or anything, is High Life. And so That's what we did. We chose it. And it's been ever since. And I love it. It's like my favorite of like the cheaper beers,
It is truly the classic beer.
Yeah, man. Champagne of beers.
Champagne
it's just classic
beers. So, it's funny. Like, I love doing interviews, period. But when, sometimes you do these and you start doing an investigation, they're kind of like coming up short. You're like, what? How am I going to make this work? But when I'm coming up with yours, I'm like, there's so much to you and your story. I'm just like, this is going to be so much fun. So your backstory is like, you were a tour manager for musical artists.
Yeah, so I started when I was 16, and I started touring with bands and started going all around the country. And kind of when I was like 20, got my break in the music business and started working for some American Idol people.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I launched that career. And I continued to do that, for the next about 10 years or so, and bounced around band to band, worked for bands like Cage the Elephant, Matt Nathanson, Matt Carney, El King was a big one, did the pop punk circuit and the Warped tours and, the festival circuits and all that kind of stuff too. So like I said, American Idol, all that. So it was, it's a different life. It was a different life then, but it was a lot of fun. And we kind of just, I just treat this like I treat a band really. And I just advertise and do what a band would do really, it's just all I know how to do. And so, it's kind of amazing how much it replicates, even though it's just hot dogs.
Yeah.
It very much is like kind of, it comes full circle. And a lot of the skills I gained doing that, have definitely gone over into this. I never worked in a restaurant before or anything like that. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into in that regards.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
This is even more interesting. So are you a musician too, or just a music lover?
No, just a music lover, and yeah, I kind of got sucked into the business side of it. Some friends of mine, when I was in like high school, were going on the road and needed like a merch guy and a driver, and I was like, yeah, sure. And then like that's next couple summers, I kept touring, and a friend of mine had joined a band called This Providence from Seattle that had just gotten signed to Fueled by Ramen, and they were going on tour with like Paramore, and we did a bunch of stuff with Copeland and stuff like that. So I was like, well, let's go on the road. This is basically getting paid to party out here. So it was it was a lot of fun, and learned a lot. You got to grind out there, man. So that's definitely one of the things I learned, and part of kind of built me and built like my motivation and my just drive.
Now you're from Seattle, but I think you're a lot younger than me, so I think you were like missed the whole like grunge explosion.
Yeah. I'm 32, so I kind of came up like, it was it would just turn from Graceland to El Corazon when I started going to shows and doing everything there.
You're a pup, man. You're a pup.
Yeah, emo punk kid for life, dude.
Nice. So, like, how does it happen where you're doing the music thing, you're tour manager and touring with these bands into restaurant life, hot dogs, becoming the hot dog king?
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to, I've just kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit. And when I was younger, I DJ'd weddings and school dances and that kind of stuff. And then from there, I started a van company when I was touring with bands, and I was renting vans to bands and that kind of thing. And so I was sitting down with a friend. I broke my leg in a scooter accident. And we were just sitting smoking a J outside of a bar in Seattle, and he was just like, "Man, you should get into hot dogs." And I kind of like remember just being like, "Daddy's Dogs has a pretty good ring to it," And while I was like doing my rehab and recovering and all that kind of stuff, it just was like that little thought in the back of my mind. And you're Googling away, and there's nothing else to do really, so I just started researching some stuff, and I never saw anyone doing it how I would do it. And after I started recovering, I planned on moving down to Nashville just because it was more central, and I was getting burned out on Seattle and stuff. And, I moved down here and was just like, holy shit, like there's no one doing anything like we're doing, or like how I want to do it. Like, let me try it. And went full bore, and that was it. About 6-7 months in, I kind of realized what we had going, and hung my touring hat up and was like, let's dive in. Let's see what we can do. See how big we can take it.
The whole so a little bit of my background. Like when I was a young kid, 18, I owned a pizza shop. I'm from Philadelphia area.
Okay.
So I had a pizza shop at 18. Like I was a musician, and I wanted to be, at that time, a guy in a hair band like Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses, etc. And my mom was just like, "You're not meant for school. You can drop out of school." And I was delivering pizzas for a shop at the time, and I said jokingly, "Oh, they're selling the shop. We should buy it." And next thing I know, we're buying a freaking pizza shop.
Golly.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it was cool, but thrown to the wolves literally at 18. Long story short, the business went under, and as we were parting out the business, I'm trading pizza ovens for a hot dog cart.
Okay, all right.
And I never actually started it because I was just thinking to myself, like, well, the thing was, you had to find a corner. Like you couldn't just like in today's world get a food truck and bebop around, or I don't know how it works here, because I think you started with just a cart too.
Yeah, we have 6 carts.
Okay, so is it like the same way where you have to get a corner and you can't move from that corner? That's your corner. That's it.
The rules here are really sketch, and just to be frank, like the cops and like the city codesmen and everyone here don't even know them. They haven't been updated since the early 90s. So they're pretty like, defunct and out of it's kind of just like whatever the guy who walks up to you says goes. So we've just kind of posted up and done our own thing outside of trying to deal with city permits or anything like that. And partnered with bars or restaurants or different businesses to make it a little bit more of a partnership instead of just like us like outside of the bar trying to get their clients to get money for a hot dog or whatever.
Right.
But it's I will say it's very cutthroat. Like the game is very there's guys out there like you just don't want to like cross them. It's definitely like
Sure.
It's its thing.
Now, how about like you have the car, and I think I was going through and finding some things, and it sounds like you guys were trying to do it like by day, and by day wasn't working. You flipped it around and started doing it at night, and it started to take off for you.
Yeah, So we kind of always knew we wanted to do like the late night thing. I just never saw a real like. I never saw anyone else doing it really, and like when you're on the road, it's either Jimmy John's or pizza, like usually in every place. Yeah. That's all you get. And so it's like, let's get something different out there or whatever. And so, yeah, we went in thinking night or late night. And then we started with trying to do days. It was kind of for mine and his schedule at the time. It was a little bit easier. Mine and my business partner's schedule, I guess. And then, when we kind of got our grip and figured out the process of everything, we started looking for those late night spots and kind of landed on a few, and the rest is kind of history.
Now, at any point, like when you were really like starting this early on, like, was it always just hot dogs in your mind? Did you think to yourself anything like pizza or why not burgers? Why not Daddy's Burgers? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hot dogs were definitely like the first thing in my mind because of like the ease and cost effectiveness of getting into the market. You don't have to like burgers. You can't cook on the street. There's a bunch of rules with like, what you can and can't cook and what's got to be pre-cooked or, whatever. And so hot dogs just seemed like the easiest entry point. And I've always loved food. I like grew up and my grandma and like used to give me these kids cookbooks when I was little. And like, I'd make all these like, weird omelets or whatever that like a kid would make in them. So I've always been intrigued by it. And at one time I thought maybe, a restaurant would be cool to open, but I never really thought. It was kind of one of those like, sit around the table with your friends and like, we should open a bar one day, but no one ever acts on it. It was kind of one of those thoughts. And then when we did it and it, started working, it was just like, holy cow. And, from where where we saw this originally going to where it is now is like, it's crazy. We thought we were just going to have one or two carts, run it out of my basement and have a couple other dudes out there hawking them on the street, and we'd be on the road with bands and living the high life. And then, there's way more work that goes into it than that. And, and just how the brand and how we saw it evolving changed, as we went along and as, we started, I think, finding our stride in things and kind of just, blazing our own trail.
You mentioned omelets. Have you ever had a hot dog and egg omelet?
Oh, I've definitely done. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've pretty much put hot dogs like spaghetti. I've done it all.
So what was that? I was thinking that too. I'm thinking to myself, like, you mentioned sitting there like smoking a joint with your buddy. I'm like, I pictured Big Daddy and his buddies like sitting there smoking a couple joints and hanging out and perfecting the whole hot dog concoction recipes that you got going on.
Oh, yeah. So when we first started, we had probably like 4 or 5 different like tasting sessions with like different groups. And, I still think one of the funniest things is, we had like this book of like, okay, here's all, like, me and my business partner sat down, like, how do we start a business? What do we need to do? And literally the first thing on there was like, learn to cook hot dogs. And I just still like laugh when I think about that, because it's like not hard, but it's just like we just had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. But we had like 4 or 5 of these tasting sessions, and how like different ways to cook them, different dogs, trying to find which dog we're going to use, which different recipes and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun to kind of do that. And we still do them every once in a while. We'll do them with the staff. I'll do them in my house every once in a while, have folks over, my friends and stuff, when we're trying to find new dogs of the month, or, changing the menu. We're getting ready to do a big menu change in April. And so we're kind of going through that process and figuring out what dogs we want to keep on the menu and what dogs we're going to, bring on from that are dogs of the month and all that kind of stuff.
What's your favorite one?
Ooh, on our standard menu, like the 6 we call them like the 6 core nightly ones that we go out with. It's probably either the Big Daddy, or if I'm like hungry, or the Seattle, if I'm just like need the Big Daddy is a commitment. Like, it gets messy. But the Seattle I can usually handle. And then if I'm at the shop, I'd usually go for a Georgia. That's one of my favorites. It's our cream cheese, peaches, jalapenos, and our secret sauce. It's a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy. It's super good. I love it.
It's funny. Like, when I saw that too, I was thinking to myself, who the frick puts peaches on a hot dog?
Right? Stoners. That's who.
How about like cream cheese on a hot dog? Even like,
that's a Seattle thing. That's a big Seattle thing. So like, outside of all the venues there, the Showbox and the Nectar, and I'm trying to think of the other ones, Crocodile Lounge. These guys will pull up right at the end with a cart hooked up to a truck and just start dogging, and however many they can sell, and then they'll move to the next venue as like stuff gets out. But that's like the thing, is like cream cheese on a hoagie with grilled onions, and then sriracha or mustard or barbecue or whatever. Sriracha was like always the classic I went to. Just wasted after a show. You're like, just got done seeing Steel Panther, and you're like, yeah,
That's awesome. So now, you mentioned you had no prior food or restaurant experience. How soon into this did you realize, like, oh man, like this is a lot of work. This is just making hot dogs.
Oh, I mean, I'd probably say like a weekend. It was pretty dang instant. Hang on one sec. Yeah, it was pretty dang instant. Plus, our model's a little different because we're like setting a restaurant up every night. It's not like you walk into the restaurant, you're like, all right, I'm cooking a pizza today. Like, here we go. You're literally out there building a restaurant from the ground up, and then, tearing it down at 4:00 in the morning,
right,
and rolling home while the sun's coming up.
And how about like just that with the how many carts did you have before you opened your first location?
We had 3. We had 3 carts when we opened the shop. And I think we got our 4th within like a month or 2 of being there, and just kind of built it up since then.
Wow, that's great. And you started this in what, 2015?
2015. It's funny. I like looked back, and like our first post on 2015 was National Hot Dog Day. It was a Wednesday, and I had no idea back then that it was even like a thing. And it was like Wednesday, July 23rd or something like that. And I was like, holy shit. And I like looked, and I was like, yep, that was National Hot Dog Day that year. And so it just happened to be like, that was the day we started.
Dude, that's like a total sign. Like,
isn't it?
It's like so meant to be. That's crazy.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty wild.
Wow. So now, I mean, for people who haven't seen them, they really have to. I haven't been out to the shop yet to try them. I'm coming, trust me.
Yeah, get out of here.
I see the pictures. I'm just like, they look huge. Like, how do you fit it in your mouth?
You grip it and rip it, baby. Yeah, it's definitely, size matters, and that's kind of our motto there. But they're definitely not like what a lot of people think of like hot dogs. A lot of people think of like, oh, AM PM hot dogs or gas station hot dogs.
Right.
These are definitely like, I always laugh when someone comes up and get, oh, I'll take a chili dog and a corn dog, and I'm like, have you ever had these before, man? Like, and then they're just like, oh shit, when they get it, like, oh crap, I outdid myself.
Yeah, I can imagine. So now, how about last year? The world gets hit with this pandemic. Like, what were your initial thoughts? Were you like, oh shit, like I'm screwed? I might lose the business. How tough was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a blur, honestly. It's been pretty surreal. At the beginning of it, we were kind of 2020, like we were kind of set to like make some moves, and we were like ready to possibly open a new spot in the suburbs or something. And, we were just looking for opportunity. We were looking to expand. We were looking to kind of launch the rocket. The thrusters were like, primed, and it was just like hitting a button. We were ready to go. And, the pandemic hit, and it was like, okay, well, like tighten all of our resources, keep everything, is what we can do. And then it was like when everything shut down is when I kind of got really worried, like when bars closed and all that. Because, our restaurants there, but not a lot of people don't realize about 80% of our revenue is in late night food or events or, musicians' corners and live on the greens and all that kind of stuff that just happens in Nashville. But 80% of our money was in all that. And so the, making that pivot to, okay, well, we've got a restaurant, we've kind of just treated as a commissary up until now. And it was just kind of like, it just kind of was what kept everything else turning. And now we have to just double down on it to like figure out a way to, a lot of people didn't even know who had been out late at night, didn't even know we had it because they've only seen us after midnight,
Sure.
And so, it was a big, we kind of had this thing. It was like, we can sit back, we can let everybody go, and we can go back to work in the line in the window and like, grind this year out, or we can kind of leave the puzzle pieces we've built for the past couple of years in place and double down on this place and try to get things going here. And so that's what we did. We chose number B on that. And that's when I had the idea for all the first round of drive-in shows, and called a lot of my old band friends up, and they were all, bored and wanted to play. So we made that happen. And throughout the whole summer, just kind of pounded the ground, did, kind of what we do best on the grind and the guerrilla style marketing and all that kind of stuff, getting our name out and, just saying yes to everything that comes in the door, really. And, I don't think I'd go back and do it different. I don't think I'd, change anything, but it's definitely been a, interesting year for sure. But it's, I've always been good with my back up against the wall, and I kind of built myself from nothing, and I've been on my own since I was 16. So it's very much like I'm kind of used to like getting beat down and just having to crawl my way out,
Right. Yeah, like when you started doing the drive-in shows last year, that's how I came across you. I was like, oh man, this is freaking awesome what this dude is doing for, not just his business, but for the music community and just everybody in general that needed that outlet,
Yeah, thank you.
Now, you, again, going back to, your old career as the tour manager, can you picture yourself like where you would be now if you were still in that life? Like,
I can, and I'm really glad I'm not where I can picture myself being. I think I was heading in a direction of being kind of that old, jaded, greasy fucking road dog that you just see out there, like grumpy, hates life. And that's not who I am, and that's not who I really want to be. And like, just the music industry is a brutal one to be in. And especially the position I was in, tour manager, is a very hard position. It's a lot of it's a lot of really hard work for people who don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating. And especially now that, like, you know, I'm working and doing this on my own. Like I said, I treat this like a band where now I'm the lead singer. And so if like I don't work hard and I'm not like doing anything, why should the rest of the band do anything, you know? And that's the way I have to look at it. And so having that mindset and seeing it from this angle now as like the artist or whatever, it would be very hard to go to work for someone that didn't have that mentality as well. And there's very few artists out there that have that mentality and have that drive to do stuff. A lot of them are too creative, and it's not to any, you know, it's just how they're wired, how they're built. And they have teams behind them that can help them. I just don't think I could be a part of that team anymore, where I was working harder than the artist who I'm working for.
Now, how about again with the driving concerts? Like, I came across Rolling Stone magazine did an article on you.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild. I was getting emails from like people I hadn't heard from in 10 years, my teachers, like, look at this. And because it went out on like the Rolling Stone email blast. And I had like no idea it was going to be any of that. One of the gals who was supposed to play, Sarah Potenza, she had just come off The Voice, you know, the season before or whatever. And had a friend at Rolling Stone and was like, I'm doing this concert. You got to do a thing with this guy, and set it up for us. And Joe, who did the article, was awesome. And they liked it, and they pushed it through to all like their front page of all their stuff, or not the front page, but like, you know, one of their main stories for that time. So that was wild.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. It was really cool.
Is that something you're going to continue to do? You can keep doing the concerts this year as well, or?
We are. We're trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do them this year. You know, obviously COVID, and as stuff, you know, the belt gets loosened, we're hoping to kind of do things a little different. Our goal is eventually to just have it be an outdoor music venue and like, you know, hold a show a month or a couple shows a month or something like that. I don't know if necessarily we have the bandwidth in-house to do all that, but you know, we're talking with some folks in town and seeing what we can make happen, and just seeing like, you know, if there's how we can use the space and, you know, kind of bring some fun to the neighborhood.
Right. Now, something else you guys do is drive-in. You do the drive-in movies, which you did over Christmas time. Mm-hmm. How often you do? Is that like something you do usually, or was that just Christmas time? Or
so we'd been doing, before we had built kind of the stage and done the drive-in stuff, we had done movie nights at the shop before. We had like a big blow up projector screen and stuff. And so, you know, when COVID happened and the drive-ins and all that, I was like, well, you know, our shows ended in November. I was like, it's December, it's freezing. Like, no one's going to sit outside. Let's just do drive-in style movies. And so we did the holiday ones. And I think we're going to do a spring and a fall version of that, and kind of keep, you know, some of that summertime for mostly concerts and live music, if we can make that happen more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, how about going back to how I introduced you, the king of social media in Nashville, at least for restaurants. If people are not following you on Instagram, I think you're even on TikTok and Facebook.
Yeah.
What you're up to? My God, people, hit the like button, hit the follow button, because you're in for a treat, man. Who comes with all these crazy ideas?
You know, me, and we've got kind of our core team, and I'm always like got my ear to the ground for different ideas, and you know, it's just kind of a team effort. A lot of like the bigger campaigns and stuff is just like, it's just a snowball effect. Well, I'll say something and someone's like, what if we did that? And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. What if we took it this way too? And, you know, so it just kind of goes down there. We're launching one tomorrow. We're doing another one tomorrow that I'm really excited about. It's a little Titanic spoof, and
really?
it's going to be pretty funny, I think.
Now, it's funny because I keep picturing in my head, there was one I saw, I think it was like last summer, and I just remember scrolling, and I see you're like on a skateboard probably drinking a beer or something. You had a drink in your hand. You're like skateboarding down the street, talking about the shop. And I'm just like, this dude is like my spirit animal. I gotta hang with this fucking guy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This year I think we just brought on a media guy to help kind of, there's so many platforms and there's so much different digital shit to do these days, and our brand is very design centric, I could say, and I don't really know how to work outside of Microsoft Paint, and so we brought him on to kind of help me create a lot of these ideas I have and bring them to life. So I'm really excited for 2021 and just being able to like just go for it this year and really like have some fun with it.
Well, at this point now, how much are you like truly in there making hot dogs? I mean, or you would just become more of the businessman and the big daddy?
I'm still dogging, baby. I'm still grinding away. I'm not 5 days a week or anything, but I'm still in the shop. My presence is still very much there. I'm probably there six days a week at some point throughout the day for something.
Right.
And I'm working usually 3 days like on the line. So, I'm still doing it, especially in the wintertime when our hours are kind of, a little like slimmed down and it's a little slower and we're not trying to burn as much, labor costs and stuff. Like,
sure.
We, still got to put that dogger hat on and make some dogs,
Now, something too, I guessing you just did this recently. You added alcohol to the mix. You're doing like boozy milkshakes and all.
Yeah, we've got liquor. I'm excited about this. So we partnered with Old Smoky Moonshine, and we're doing basically doing all a moonshine program with them. And so we're doing boozy shakes that we're calling Shine Your Shake, and you can put moonshine in any of your shakes. We've got a couple different options that we like suggest. An orange dreamsicle that's really good. It's like the orange creamsicle popsicles from when you were a kid. We've got a PBW&C, peanut butter, whiskey, and chocolate, and it tastes like a Reese's. It's delicious. And then we've got
whiskey and moonshine is the best.
Oh, it's so good. And we've got an apple pie toasted crunch is what we're calling it, and it's apple pie moonshine with cinnamon toast crunch in a shake. It tastes like an apple churro. It's pretty delicious.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we've got our drink pouches, which is just an adult Capri Sun. And I had a few friends stop by today, and they're like, "These are delicious." And they're like, "We're gonna get a second one." And I was like, "Be careful, because they're like heavy pours, and like they'll get you, man. And you can't really taste the booze too much; it just tastes like juice." So you're like, "Oh, this is delicious," and pretty soon you're like, "Oh shoot, I got a solid one going," But
wow.
It's like I said, you can't have too much. You can't take it too seriously. We can't go in there and start making like old fashions and martinis. Right. So it's like, what can we do with the liquor license? And part of the reason why we got it was for some of our events and everything that we do, and so it just made sense to kind of roll it over into the shop and doing liquor there and stuff.
Now, do you do like catering events and stuff too, or?
Yeah, so we've done some, like we do weddings a lot. That's a huge thing for us. Business events. We're like one of the fastest food kind of things. Like we can just churn and burn. We can do a hot dog every like 20 seconds if we're like full force. It's like per station or whatever. And wow. So we're going really quick. So we do a lot of those like corporate events where they've got like their whole team for the summer picnic or whatever. And it's just boom, 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 boom. We'll do some of those. And then we do our own events where like we did a Nashtoberfest, which is basically an all Nashville Oktoberfest that we host.
Okay.
And that's really fun. We do that in usually the first weekend in October every year. And we're also doing in the spring, we do Sylvan Park Puppy Play Day, which is like a big dog meetup at a park. And we just hot dogs and real dogs and, just let them off the loose and they go crazy and drink some beers and hang out with the neighborhood.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Do you get? I mean, I'm sure you do. Like you have a nice following on social media, but like when you're out and about in your normal life, do people recognize you and stop you and all?
Yeah, that's always fun. It's always like doesn't feel surreal because I've always been with bands where that happens all the time. And so
Right.
now it's happening with me, and I'm just like, I'm just a fucking guy. Like, I don't sing songs or like entertain you. I just feed you hot dogs or whatever. But it's always pretty humbling and funny. And my girlfriend always just kind of rolls her eyes and it's like, come on, again, like I love it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like back home in Philly, cheesesteaks is the big thing,
Yeah.
and a guy who I'm friends with is like the cheesesteak king, and he's like a food guy, Tony Luke Jr. And he's like that. He's like an icon in Philly, and he's done like TV shows and stuff like that. So yeah, I could totally see it. You have that personality too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll see if I land any TV shows. I keep saying I tried out for Real World a while back, and I was like, I'm made for this thing, and then they didn't call me, and I was like, dang, I guess I wasn't. But Philly, do you know Govinda's on South 12th? It's like a vegan cheesesteak place,
That's
and
why I don't know it.
yeah, it's unbelievably good for vegan, but like I always just think of that place for some reason when I think of Philly. Of course, there's Pat's and Geno's and Jim's and everybody.
All the tourist thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing I never got to do before I left, which was starting to get popular before I moved here a year and a half ago, was the Philly taco. Where what people were doing, they were going to gyms and then they were getting cheesesteak and then walking down the street to Lorenzo's Pizza and getting a slice of pizza and wrapping the pizza around the cheesesteak.
Golly.
Yeah.
The gluttony sounds delicious.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it.
So, something you're doing now, which I got to thank you. We actually were in talks a couple months ago to try to get this interview hooked up, and then it rekindled over the last week or so. So we're going to do a contest together, which I'm freaking stoked about. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
But you're giving away one of your daddy's date nights to one of our people on Instagram. So why don't you tell them what daddy's date night is?
Yeah, so we've had this idea for a couple of years, and up until this year, in the wintertime, we've always closed or just been open for lunch. So we've closed at 3 p.m. every day. And this year we kind of pivoted and we got the tent out there and a bunch of heaters, and we're like making it a vibey space and all this kind of stuff. And so I finally was like, guys, it's time to do the date night. And it's basically like we're trying to make it the cheesiest and funniest and most romantic, romantic, like dinner for two we can. And so we've got like candles and roses and all this, and we're doing like a towel over the arm weighted kind of thing, which is so different than what we normally do. We're usually walk up and window service and stuff. So I think it's just going to be something really unique and fun, and it's full 4 courses, including drinks. So it's only $69 normally. It's a really good deal if you're out there listening. But yeah, I'm excited to give one away to somebody, and it'll be like I said, it's just gonna be fun, unique, and it's like during all this COVID stuff, it's like it's the perfect thing to just be like, what, like here we go, it's all outdoors, it's all that kind of stuff. So it's just gonna be fun,
That's funny. It's funny that my fiance just to me last night. She's like, because we're doing like all these like video reviews and all. We try to like be goofy and funny, to make it entertaining. She's like, we should do something where we get really dressed up and go somewhere that's, we shouldn't be dressed up at. And I said, we should go to Daddy's Dogs.
You should come to date night. It would be hilarious and funny. It's gonna be. We've got some other tricks, and we're doing like a take-home gift bag that's got some really, really funny goodies in it. So I'm excited for it, and it's just gonna be, it's just gonna be fun. That's all I can say, and I hope that's what people leave thinking. It's like that was fun, like and they remember that date. And who knows, maybe we'll spark some engagements or something. I don't know.
There you go. I mean, hell, People need to go again. Going back to social media, they need to go on and see the Bachelor video that you did.
It was a fun one, man. It was a fun one.
That's funny. That's so freaking funny. So, all right. So, we're gonna launch that. In a little while after we're done this, probably a little after 9 or so on Instagram. So, everybody, check out my Instagram. His Instagram will be tagging, and we're gonna launch this. It's a 24-hour contest. So you got to see the picture we put up and see the rules and follow along, play along, and then tomorrow night we'll announce the winner. 24 hours is all you got to enter. So
24 hours.
Yeah. Cool. So tomorrow you have a Titanic video launching. You have so you said you have a new menu coming up in a couple months?
Yeah, we're just adjusting kind of what we got. We're kind of making some changes and just reviewing the dogs that we have, if we want to keep them all or if we want to just add some. Kind of it's just been we've rocked the same menu for 2 years, and I feel like it's kind of time to make some moves. And so,
What do you think's the craziest thing you guys have put on a hot dog?
I mean, shit. The Toronto we have right now, everyone is like, that's fucking weird. It's peanut butter, bacon, and maple syrup, and it's really, really good if like you're willing to go out on a limb. It's sweet, and savory all at the same time. It's
in the secret offices, have you guys tried some really weird stuff and you're like, no?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we tried some dogs that were just like, no. I tried like a Cheeto dog once, and I thought it was gonna be good. I saw it on Instagram. I was like, oh, Cheetos on a hot dog, that's cool. Like you crush them up and use the powder, and it was not what I thought it was. And the Cheetos, the powder got stuck in my throat, and it was like, you accidentally breathe it in because it's just like a dusting on top. That's always stuff you just don't take into account every time, but yeah, man, there's some people put some crazy shit on hot dogs, dude. Or just some people are just so basic. They're like, just give me cheese. You want any mustard or anything on that? Cheese. Okay.
Oh, that's funny. How about, has anybody tried, you said peanut butter, has anybody tried Nutella?
I haven't ever done a Nutella dog. No, I wanted to for a while. I wanted to try a dessert dog and do a fried banana in a Nutella donut or something.
Cool.
That was just my super ultimate high, let's do this, man, and I haven't got around to doing it yet, but I'm not going to say no.
I think the donut dog. I mean, they've started doing, bacon cheeseburgers between two glazed donuts. Why not a donut dog?
We thought about it. I think it would be volume for the thing. The hardest part for us is how much do we get per day? Do we get 12 of them? Do we get 24 of them? And then it's over. But that's definitely something that might and will probably end up becoming a dog of the month.
Dude, I can't wait to not only come out there and meet you, but eat some freaking hot dogs.
Yeah, man. It'll be excited to have you at the shop and meet you face to face and everything.
Absolutely. And have some Millworth in person.
Exactly. I haven't done damage to this.
Cool. So where should we send everybody to learn more about you? Definitely. I know Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah. Daddy's Dogs Nash is kind of our everything. So we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. That's our website, daddy'sdogsnash.com. You can sign up for our email list there. I don't bombard people. I usually send 2 to 3 emails a month, and one of those almost has something free in it. So it's worth signing up for. And, I try not to be too big of a pester on there, but we gotta these days. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Cool. And how about, there was something else, and now I'm like, oh, somebody put in the comments, they heard you have a vegan dog, and I'm pretty sure you do.
We do, yeah. So you can make any dog vegetarian, and then our vegan style is bunless. Unfortunately, we had to switch buns a while back, and they went to using some dairy products in them. But yeah, any dog can be. We can make vegetarian, and then you can do a vegan option, bunless or whatever too. And I guess I have to say this. One of my guys just texted me. I can't do any interview without saying, if you get some extra time and you're bored during quarantine, I have a movie called Slow Ride Home, and it's on Amazon Prime. Go check it out. It's about me and my idiot friends riding from Florida to Seattle on scooters, and it's a fun watch. And yeah,
Slow Ride Home.
yep.
Okay. Anything else you're involved in that we should know about?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm always scheming different stuff. We got our beer box club. Is something we started during the quarantine to kind of pivot and try to do some other stuff, and it went really well. So we're going to keep it going. So we're going to do 4 boxes a year, and we're getting ready to launch and announce the spring one probably beginning of March or so. And it'll be like all local beers again, and great like gift or a great like date night taster. Oh, let's taste some beers or whatever. You have a couple beers and do it a couple times and get lit and hopefully laid. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Big Daddy getting you laid.
There we go. I'll be the wingman. I was always good at that on tour.
Well, dude, this has been great. Thanks again for doing it. Thanks again for the contest.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Bay.
Absolutely, man. Look forward to meeting you and our new friendship.
Heck yeah, dude. And thanks everyone for watching and listening.
Yeah, man.
We'll see you guys.
Take care.